Hello and welcome to the Rundown, episode 24. This is a little different scenario. Kyle Stackpole here. We have fellow staff writer Zach Selby.
What's going on?
How's it going, Zach?
You know, it's been an interesting time. I spent a lot of time in my room, but hey, we're still here. We're still delivering all this great content for all of our fans and followers out there. So nothing can stop us, I guess.
Exactly. So, I mean, it has been weird. This is our third week now working from home. All the NFL facilities are closed, but luckily the NFL has kept us constantly churning out news, constantly entertained and informed with free agency. And as of this recording, about Monday at 4 o'clock or so, we've signed 10 players, we've traded for another, and we've retained or re-signed 3 players. So just to start, I think we should start with Kyle Allen, because a couple of weeks ago we talked about a lot of the other signings we had, but Kyle Allen seems like he was one of the bigger signings, and obviously being at the quarterback position. So I guess what can you tell fans about Kyle Allen and where he might fit within this Redskins system?
Well, I think he's going to fit in really well, considering that it's essentially the same offensive scheme that Scott Turner was running last year in the last 4 plays that he was the offensive coordinator. So I think in that regard, he's going to fit in very well. I think he's even said that he thinks it's going to be a pretty seamless interaction between him and the OC. But I think he's going to bring a lot of good competition to this quarterback. I think that's really what Ron Rivera brought him in there for. And I think both Scott Turner and Rivera have, pretty much been on this guy's side since he was an undrafted free agent. And they know, I think Rivera has shown 2 things in this free agency period. One is that he likes to bring in guys that are competitive, that want to win.
Yep.
And 2, he likes to bring in guys that know what he wants as a coach. And from everything I've heard, Kyle Allen can check both of those boxes off. And I think it's going to be, obviously, you think about what it's going to do with Dwayne Haskins. But I think that Dwayne is going to he sees it as he's going to respond to it really well. And I think it's going to be very good to see him have, that other guy in there with him to push him for that
exactly. Job. Because we were wondering the whole time who else is going to be there, who else is going to be competing with him. I mean, obviously Alex Smith is still here, but he's still recovering from that injury, and we don't know when exactly he's going to come back. So to have that question answered was really nice to see, and it was good for fans to see. And then also Coach Ron Rivera ended up going on a Charlotte radio show and talking about these moves. So he talked about Kyle Allen and he talked about Dwayne Haskins. And like you said, for Kyle Allen, he basically said the biggest thing, bigger than anything else, was he's a good fit. He's the right fit for our system. He knows exactly what Rivera wants. He knows exactly what offensive coordinator Scott Turner wants. And he's a guy that started before. I mean, he started 12 games last year for the Panthers, won 5 of his first 6. So he's a young guy, but in terms of their system, he's really a veteran guy. So, I mean, Rivera actually, he said a lot of good stuff throughout that interview. And he also had some comments about Dwayne Haskins that I think were really important. So, I mean, what were the comments that Ron Rivera made of Dwayne Haskins, and what might it say about the quarterback competition going forward?
Well, it pretty much solidified what everybody kind of believed, is that he's going to be the guy moving forward. Now, that's not to say that, they're just going to hand him the keys, because Rivera has also made that pretty clear, is that he's not anointed or anything like that. But he has said, look, this is going to be our guy moving forward, and we're going to give him every opportunity to earn the spot. We're also going to give every opportunity for him to compete for the spot. And that, I mean, it's nice to hear him say it, but it's also something that he's echoed pretty much since he got here. And it's nice for him to confirm that to the fans. I mean, by the way, where did you found it? I think you were the first guy that found that around here. Where did you find that?
Yeah, so I think I was looking on Twitter and I just saw the interview pop up. I'm like, oh man, he said some awesome stuff. We have to make sure everyone hears about it. So
yeah,
and because I don't know if any other interview that he had done. So, I mean, good for the radio station for getting him on. And, I mean, good for us, good for the fans to – because he really said some newsworthy stuff, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the most interesting thing is that we were wondering the entire time what was going to happen. And it seems like Kyle Allen is that perfect fit because he is young and he does have experience and he does provide that very competitive competition that Rivera said that he was looking for at the Combine. Plus, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with off-season workouts. I mean, they're suspended indefinitely. We don't know when the NFL is going to resume activities. So this is something where not only will Haskins have the coach and the offensive coordinator go to, but he can go to a guy like Kyle Allen now who was in the system the last 2 years to really help him learn and grow, even if they aren't on the field. So
he'll be like a third coach out there in a lot of different ways. Yeah,
exactly. So, I think that's it for segment one. I got some bills to pay, so let me start it off here. Connect with the Redskins this offseason. Follow the Redskins on Instagram and Twitter for news, updates, and exclusive Redskins content.
Sign up for FanDuel now and get $5 in total bonus. Just make your first deposit to get started, and you get an extra $5 in-site credit. Go to FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app.
Do you know that your Washington Redskins are sponsored by Koch Industries? That's K-O-C-H, Koch. Their 67,000 U.S. employees make a lot of things that make game day better. Greener turf, they make that. Stronger paper products for tailgating, they make that too. Oh, and electronic components in TVs and smart devices, so you can watch a Redskins victory from anywhere? Yeah, Koch makes that too. See all they make for on and off the field at kochmakesthat.com. All right, Zach, we're back. Episode 24, The Rundown. So we discussed quarterback Kyle Allen. We discussed Dwayne Haskins and what that quarterback situation is going to look like. But the Redskins signed a lot of other guys. And I think there's really a theme here with the guys that they end up signing. And I think that theme is you have depth, you have competition, and you have versatility. And I think those three things are going to be really important. So if you could just expand on any of those, wherever you want to go first, and kind of lay out how the Redskins moves represented those themes, I guess.
Well, I guess as a former offensive lineman myself, I can start off with Wes Schweitzer, the guy from the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah. So Wes is another Wes on the team, by the way. That's two Wes's with Wes Martin on there. But he's a guy from the Atlanta Falcons that has been kind of on and off the starting lineup. He's been mostly an interior guy, left and right guard, but he's also played a little bit of center. So he has that versatility there, like you mentioned. And, he's a very interesting person. And, we've recently been doing a lot of 5 things to know about each free agency signing, which you can check out at redskins.com, by the way.
He's a company man, all right?
Yeah. Man. Got to make the plugs. And, he's a chemistry major, which is just insane. And he wants to get his PhD in the field too, which
okay. Giving Bryce Love a run for his money.
I know, right? Yeah, we got a lot of smart people on this team.
Really.
Pulling in the knowledge. But yeah, he's just another addition on that offensive line that we talked about competition, and that is definitely true of this offensive line. I think that's now quite a few signings that they've made on this offensive line because they want to find out who that starting 5 is, and they want to have as many options with as much starting experience as they can get.
Exactly. And you talked about Wes Schweitzer, another guy, Cornelius Lucas. He's a swing tackle that played for the Bears last year. He's another guy that at left tackle right now, we don't really know what's going to go on with the Trent Williams situation, and we're not really sure. Donald Penn is still a free agent, and the Redskins have Jerron Christian, but they don't know if he's ready to step into a starting role. So Cornelius Lucas is a guy that started 8 games last year, played in all 16, only allowed 1 sack. So he's another guy that he could be a depth signing, but he could also show himself and really move up into that starting role. And then another guy is Jeremy Vujovic. I don't know if
I think it's Vujovic, but I'm not. I don't want. I think that sounds correct.
That sounds a lot better. So he's another depth signing guy that he was actually out of the league last year, but played for the Colts the year before that, and started for them. And these are just guys that are really going to enhance the depth and the competition that the coaching staff was talking about. And really it's going to be – it's not only that the coaches want to know what they have in these free agent signings, but they want to know what they have in the current players. So they need to push them exactly to perform to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, and I mean, especially in that left tackle position, I mean, like that's probably the biggest question mark, arguably of the entire team, is who is going to be that guy. And there's still plenty of moves that can still be made, but they've got 3 great guys that are really hungry for a shot. And who doesn't want to get a starting job in the NFL, especially at a left tackle position, one of the most valuable spots on the entire team. So I think it's great. I think it's great that they're really challenging the roster to see all right, well we see you, we see what you have on film, we like what you've shown. Show me what else you got. And let me see what you got when your feet are placed on the fire, and let's roll with whatever we got after that.
Exactly. And that's not I know a lot of fans might be saying, oh, the Redskins, they're signing all these backups or they're signing all these guys for depth and competitiveness, but where are the starters and the star players? And I mean, the Redskins there's been players that, they've gone after. I mean, Austin Hooper said that he was between the Redskins and the Browns. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's been reported that, Amari Cooper was between the Redskins offered him and he ended up signing with the Cowboys. So it's not that the Redskins aren't going after those guys, but it's sometimes, you don't get every guy you go after. And no. I don't think the Redskins are a team that is going to go after or just end up paying guys because they have the cap space. Because they do have a lot of cap space, but it seems like they have a system in place and they value certain guys and they value that versatility and that competitiveness. I mean, like you said in the story you wrote, they want tough, hungry guys with positional versatility. They said that at the Combine, and that hasn't changed. So, I mean, where else have you seen the themes of like versatility, competitiveness kind of show itself throughout free agency?
Well, I think you can really look nowhere else but the running back position. I mean, I think, you see the 2 big signings that they've had in J.D. McKissic and Peyton Barber. And I think now that puts him at 6 running backs on the roster now, which is, I mean, really what you wasn't really expecting. But I mean, I like J.D. McKissic. I like J.D. McKissic a lot. He's exactly what Scott Turner wants out of his running backs. I mean, if you look at his previous experience with the Panthers, who did Scott Turner have? He had Christian McCaffrey, probably one of the most versatile players in the league today. And you're not going to find Christian McCaffrey everywhere. I mean, you don't find very many. You're
going to find him hardly anywhere. But
no, exactly. Yeah. But you can find a guy that can do a lot of this stuff on his resume. You want somebody who can catch passes out of the backfield. McKissic, that's what he does. And you want a guy that can run between the tackles. He's shown that he can do that, and he can also burn you with his speed too. So you have a piece that you can move around on the offense to just do pretty much whatever you want with it and hurt defenses in a multitude of ways. That's something that gets me excited to see what this offense is going to become.
Yeah, for sure. And then, last position I wanted to mention, before we take a quick break is the tight end position. And this is another thing. So the Redskins were not able to get Austin Hooper, but they did sign 2 guys, one of which was just announced officially about a half hour ago.
Yeah.
So you have Richard Rodgers and you have Logan Thomas. And I know you did the 5 things on Logan Thomas, and we haven't done it on Richard Rodgers yet. But what should fans know about these guys and what they're going to bring to the tight end position? Just because the tight end's a position where the Redskins didn't get a lot of production last year, and they're really looking to get some this year for Haskins.
Yeah, that's really something that was a big question mark heading into this offseason. And I think, neither of these guys really have like the 1,000-yard seasons that a lot of the big free agents are going after. But if just take Logan Thomas, for example. Logan Thomas has improved in every single yards, catches, targets ever since he made the switch from quarterback of all positions to tight end. And I mean, it looks like he's on an upward trajectory. And you want to be on that ride. And I think that he's a smart guy. He knows how offensive work being as a quarterback. So that's going to be an interesting move for him. Now Rodgers, Rodgers is the guy who's been around another great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And he a little small fact about him. People are probably familiar with him. He's caught a couple of Hail Mary passes from Rodgers, so he knows how to operate in the open field and knows how to go up there and catch a ball, which is very valuable for this tight end position. I mean, like you said, they didn't really get that much production out of Jeremy Sprinkle and Hale Hinches and the other tight ends they had on the roster.
Exactly.
So it goes back to the multiplicity, the depth, and just finding guys that know how to make catches and get yards when they need them the most. And Thomas and Rodgers have done that in stints, and they could do a lot more of it when they give them the more opportunity with this offense.
To help during this time, Subway restaurants are offering a free footlong when you buy 2 family takeout special. Additional charges for extras, free sub of equal or lesser price. At participating restaurants, no additional discount, not valid for delivery. Free delivery is also now available through all applicable providers in the market. Use the promo code SUBWAYNOW to waive all delivery fees on your next purchase. Limited time only, select areas, $0 delivery fee, other services, fees, and limitations may apply.
Whether on the field or in the classroom, the Washington Redskins believe learning should be fun. That's why we've partnered with youth entrepreneurs to bring their engaging, hands-on style of learning to classrooms in the DC metro area. Youth Entrepreneurs curriculum was created by educators for educators. That means it's flexible, fun, and absolutely free. To learn more about youth entrepreneurs and how to experience it for yourself, visit getye.org.
We're back, episode 24, The Rundown with Zach Selby. And Zach, we've talked about the quarterback position. We've talked about really every position on the offense, but we haven't talked about defense, and the Redskins made a lot of free agent additions on the defense as well, in addition to re-signing 3 players. So, I mean, where do you want to go with this? I'll kind of leave it up to you how you want to address this situation.
Let's go in with the new guys. Let's start off there. Let's go with Thomas Davis, the linebacker from the Chargers, who spent most of his career with Carolina with Ron Rivera. Now, this is the guy that I didn't really, once you look at it, you think, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But when I first saw it, I was like, oh, hey, Thomas Davis, he's an experienced veteran who's been with the Chargers for a year and is still just a stud. I mean, I think he started in just about every game he's played, I think for the past, 6 or 7 years or something like that. I mean,
I think he missed 3 games in the last 8 years, which is crazy.
So, and he's I think he's 36 years old too, which, I mean, you don't find very many guys who are in their mid-30s who can last that long. But again, he's the kind of guy that Ron Rivera loves, and he's made it throughout his entire career, most of his career with Rivera, and he knows how to get tackles. I think we had a couple of stats out there that said that Thomas Davis's tackles would have been second on the team behind Landon Collins last year. So he's a guy that is older, but he still knows how to impact the defense in a very good way. So, and he's a leader. He knows how Rivera knows how to run a defense. He knows the culture that Rivera is trying to establish. I mean, it's a move that makes all the sense in the world, especially for a new coach, to bring in a veteran guy who knows what to expect.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the biggest things about the defensive front seven, I mean, that was really I guess they brought there was one more guy they brought in, but Kevin Pierre-Louis. But that's still, reported. So we don't want to go into detail without that yet. Sure. But it seems like along with Davis, the coaching staff has really shown an appreciation and a trust in that defensive front seven, because you have the guys up front, Allen, the Paynes, Ioannidis, but then you have 3 guys that they re-signed who are all the defensive front seven. You have Caleb Brantley, you have defensive end Nate Orchard, you have linebacker John Bostic. So I think that really says that the coaching staff believes in what this front seven can do, and they're confident in the players that they have to go ahead and move into Jack Del Rio's new defense. And I think in addition to adding a guy like Thomas Davis, who is still crazy productive at age 36, which just doesn't happen to anybody.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's going to come in and he can immediately set the culture. I mean, he's a Walter Payton Man of the Year. He was a longtime team captain under Rivera. He got nominated for the Walter Payton Award 3 or 4 times. And he's a guy who's been through adversity. He tore his ACL 3 times in a span of 23 months, I believe. And he came back, and then he's played the next 8 seasons. So he's just a guy that knows exactly what to expect from this coaching staff, what to expect from Rivera, and he's going to bring along all these other guys because we've talked about it. The talent in the front 7, it seems like it's already there.
Yeah, it's a premium. It's a premium at that position.
Exactly. And it's more of just figuring out which defense works, figuring out how to get the most out of these players. So I think the moves that the Redskins made in regards to the defense really shows that trust. And they're not looking to rebuild. They're more looking to refine that front 7 and figure out the best way to.
I guess is a good buzzword.
Retool, there we go. Yeah, retool, refine. Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, you said. I mean, they know what guys they want to build around. It's their defensive line and their front 7, and everyone else is just going to work off of that. And if anything, the last few years have shown is that pass rush is probably one of the top 3, maybe 4 or 5 positions on the field at any time.
Oh yeah,
and they have a bunch of guys who were drafted in the first round for that specific position and to do that job. So I mean, yeah, like you're gonna want to build around the front 7 that knows how to rush the passer very well, and especially guys who have shown leadership like Thomas Davis and John Bostic, who was calling the plays last year.
Exactly.
So that's another. I think that's a very underrated signing to me. I feel like is that you want another guy who came in there 1-year prove-it deal, I guess you could say, and did exactly what he needed to do to show that he deserved a second contract.
Exactly. And then, so you have the defensive front 7, and they pretty much kept a lot of people in place. And then you compare that with the secondary, which they've pretty much just blown up and said, okay,
very different.
Aside from Landon Collins, we're going to move forward with some new guys. So just to recap the moves that they made, I mean, they released Josh Norman, and then they released Monte Nicholson. Then they brought in Kendall Fuller, and then they brought in Sean Davis, and then they traded Quentin Dunbar. So regardless of what happens next year, they're only going to have one starter from the secondary back, and that's Landon Collins. Yeah. So, I mean, there's been so much going on, and I feel like every day another move is happening. But how can you maybe summarize what's happened with the secondary and what that kind of says about what the Redskins are looking to do in the defensive backfield?
It is a completely different and utterly shift from the personality and makeup of last year, with the exception of Landon Collins. I mean, you have Sean Davis, who's spent last year on IR, but when the 3 years that he was there with the Steelers, he balled out. I mean, he had, I think, 5 interceptions and had a lot of tackles, a lot of pass defenses. I mean, I think that's another really good underrated signing. And then you bring back Kendall Fuller. I think that's a guy that a lot of fans are really excited about. I think that was probably, if you had to say one, the move to get this fan base excited, it would be Kendall Fuller. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
What they're going to do with him is a different question. He's mostly a slot corner, but he's dated back to his days in Maryland. Go Terps, by the way. And he was a safety and an outside corner with Maryland, so he can play all over the place. And I think it's going to be goes back to Rivera's statements about multiplicity, flex positions, doing a lot of different things with a lot of different guys to get that secondary some picks, make some confusion for the quarterbacks, and just go out there and play, essentially. Just go out there and play.
And I think the one other thing that this kind of shows is what the coaching staff maybe thinks of a guy like Fabian Moreau.
Yeah.
Obviously, because Josh Norman got released before the scouting combine, and Rivera even said that he expected someone in-house to be able to take over that job. So the options were pretty limited. I mean, you had Danny Johnson, Jimmy Moreland, and Fabian Moreau pretty much. And So even though that they brought in Kendall Fuller and they brought in Sean Davis, he still seems like a guy that is going to be in place to start or at least get a lot of reps either in the slot or on the outside. So I think that was one of the biggest things. But I think it was just so interesting that they completely changed around the secondary. But that helps or it kind of goes by what their philosophy of tough, hungry players, and they thought that getting new guys in here was the best way to move forward, and I mean that's what they ended up doing. So it's going to be interesting to see when you have a whole front seven that's pretty much the same, but the whole secondary that's new. I guess the easier part would be that they're all learning the new system together. So it's not like the front seven is used to playing together and all the secondary is learning something different. So it's gonna be cool to see how they mesh together. And I mean, I think pretty highly of these signings. Obviously not splash signings aside from Fuller really, but definitely starting quality guys in the secondary.
Good foundational signings. I mean, good players to build the rock of a culture on. For sure, definitely. Whether bringing in new guys or keeping old guys, they're going to be a rock and a foundation for Rivera to build this whole thing on.
Exactly. So I think that's it for me. I mean, there's been a ton of stuff going on, as we said. I think they've signed, and including Brandon Sheriff, 15 or 16, maybe 17 new players.
It has to be up there with some of the top, like the most active teams for the past couple weeks. I mean, it has to be. I don't know the numbers exactly, but it has to be up there near the top.
Exactly. And so you would assume that they're probably winding down, probably not going to sign that many other guys. So I'm glad we're able to kind of recap everything. And then obviously next week we're going to try to go back to a normal weekly schedule. I think Wednesdays would be the day. I know Monday was this week, but I think we're going to do Wednesdays going forward. Zach and I, we're the rundown duo going forward.
We're still here. We're still doing stuff, making it happen.
Exactly. If you thought you can get rid of us, you can't. We're coming at you every single week from each of our respective homes for, who knows. But, I think this worked out pretty well. I think we got a lot done, and I'm excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, you can count on a couple things: toilet paper shortages and the rundown every week, because we'll be here.
There we go. Going forward every Wednesday. So for Zach Selby, Kyle Stackpole, this is episode 24 of The Rundown.
Are uninvited pests ruining your plans? Let PMSI, the pest control partner of the Washington Redskins, handle it for you. Call today for your free inspection, and they'll work around your schedule to provide you the best solution possible to defend your home territory against pests of all kinds, including mold. Visit mypmsi.com for the game plan to control the pests on your home turf. That's mypmsi.com.
From the desert to the coast, every Honda is inspired by our racing spirit and ready for any kind of road. From stylish turbocharged sedans like the Accord and Civic to rugged all-wheel drive SUVs like the CR-V, HR-V, Pilot, and Passport. With safety features like Honda Sensing, including a collision mitigation braking system, adaptive cruise control, Honda Lane Watch, and more. Get a great deal on your favorite racing-inspired Honda. Race to WashingtonAreaHondaDealers.com today to learn more.
At Coke, our 67,000 U.S. employees make things that make your game days better, like fertilizer for greener turf and stronger paper products for tailgating. Viewing the game from your couch? Coke also makes the electronic components in TVs and smart devices so you can watch your Redskins victory anywhere. Coke, we make that. See it all at KOCHmakesthat.com. That's CokeMakesThat.com.
Dear customer service, I can always count on Novak. My power is always on, my payments always go through, and Novak actually cares about the community they serve.
Dear Novak, your electric costs are reasonable. Some electricity is from alternative sources, and cost reductions are passed along during the year. Thanks.
Novak, power you can count on.